Aren't these the cutest impact wrenches you've ever seen? But can a 1/4-inch drive impact wrench really deliver 100 foot-pounds of breakaway force? We'll see. Now, if you saw our Milwaukee pipeline event video, then you saw these SubCompact impact wrenches. If you haven't, here's the new SubCompact impact wrenches from Milwaukee. M12 fuel, that is. Let's take a deeper dive into the features of these, and then also we're going to use them to see if we actually get 225 foot-pounds of torque and 100 foot-pounds of torque. Well, looky here. Look what the cat dragged in. Well, not necessarily a cat, but the UPS guy or FedEx guy, one of those two. Anyway, these are the brand new, never seen before, well, with the exception of Pipeline and the ISN show, these are the SubCompact impact wrenches from Milwaukee, specifically the M12 fuel SubCompact impact wrenches, not to be confused with the stubby impact wrench. The stubby's still king of M12, by the way. But these are the M12 fuel SubCompact impact wrenches, a brand new design, the smallest yet of any impact wrenches, and with 12 volts still pumping out tons of power. Let's throw a battery on these and dig right into the details. Now, on the left, we have the 1/4-inch drive, which is the model number 3048 or 3048. And on the right here, did I say right on that? Anyway, on the left is the 3048 1/4-inch drive. And on the right is the 3049, which is the 3/8 drive impact wrench. Now, these things are identical as far as size and probably weight, within an ounce or so. We'll weigh them in a moment. But as far as performance, they are much different. And frankly, it's all because of that anvil right there. On that 1/4-inch drive anvil, you're just not going to be able to hold the power that obviously a 3/8 drive anvil would be able to handle. So therefore, this is detuned, which makes total sense. There's no reason you ought to be grabbing a 1/4-inch socket to bust free, 200 foot-pounds. So basically where we're looking at on the performance side, 225 foot-pounds breakaway torque on the 3/8 drive, and with the 1/4-inch drive, it's tuned down to 100 foot-pounds. So let's go over the 1/4-inch, the 3048, and then we'll go over the 3049, and then we'll use these things as well. That's why we're here, right? Okay, so I've got these things kitted. No, they're not kitted. They came actually as a bare tool, but I've got them with the CP 2.5 high output batteries. I highly recommend with any impact wrench to go with the high output batteries, especially in the M12. This is an M12 fuel, or these are M12 fuel impact wrenches. So that automatically tells us we're getting a brushless motor. We're getting the utmost power out of the tool that we're using, as well as communication with the best batteries they have, chargers, and so on. Now, I already mentioned 100 foot-pounds of breakaway torque. As far as RPM, we get 3 different speeds here. And just like the brand new generation of stubby impact wrenches, we no longer have a button to push when it comes to switching speeds. You can see the speeds are listed right here on the top. And you see if I pull the trigger, obviously I'm in speed 2. But if I want to shift gears, what I have to do is not just pull the trigger, but I have to shift this to neutral. It's really not hard to do, and at first it may have been kind of cumbersome because we're used to just hitting a button, but it's not hard to just grab your thumb or your index, shift it into neutral, and then you want to double pull the trigger. So you'll see if I double pull, it's going to switch to 3, double pull, going to go to the bolting or screwing mode, double pull again. Again, it's just cycling through the different speeds. Now in speed 1, we're going to get up to 1,500 RPM and up to 1,350 impacts per minute. So shift over. So pretty slow. Again, we're just getting 1,500 RPM and again 1,350 IPM. Now if I shift to speed 2, what we're getting then is up to 2,900 RPM and 3,700 impacts per minute. And then speed 3 is going to be our ultimate speed there at 3,800 RPM and 44 impacts per minute, or 4,400 IPM. And then in the auto shutoff mode or the bolt removal mode, that's also going to give us our max of 3,800 RPM and 4,400 impacts per minute. So the auto removal or bolt removal mode is going to be the same as our high speed mode. It's just going to automatically stop when it senses that it's loosened, and automatically stop when it senses it's tightened as well. We'll go over those in just a few moments. Again, 100 foot-pounds of breakaway torque and 70 foot-pounds of tightening torque. Would you buy one of these subcompact impact wrenches? And if not, why not? Now on the 3/8 drive, again, we've got the 2.5 CP high output battery on here, which, by the way, we could also swap this out and go to a 5.0 battery. Any of the M12 batteries would work. I just highly recommend either the 2.5 HO or the XC50 HO as well. Now, as far as specs on this, again, identical as far as function goes. There we have the bolt removal mode, shift to neutral, double click, go into speed 1. So in speed 1, we're going to get up to 1150 RPM and up to 1,000 impacts per minute. Now we shift to speed 2. And with the 3/8 drive or the 3049, we're going to get up to 2,400 RPM and up to 3,400 impacts per minute. And then shift into speed 3, and we're going to go up to 3,400 RPM and up to 3,600 impacts per minute. And just like on the other, when we shift to the auto removal or bolt removal mode and auto shutoff mode, it's going to give us that same maximum speed of 3,400 RPM and maximum impacts per minute of 3,600. You'll notice the sheer size of this is pretty small. We'll bring up the stubby here in a few moments just to compare the difference. We also get the 3 LEDs here on the front of this as well. That makes great light output to be able to shine on areas where you need it when you're actually working. And we get a hog ring style anvil there that's going to automatically retain that socket when you put it on. We also get the fuel gauge here. It's pretty typical on the M12 fuel tools or on the M12 tools where you get the 4 dots there because we don't have a fuel gauge on the battery, so we can read it right there on the tool once we engage it, and then it'll stay lit for a few seconds. Now let's take a look at size and weight here. So with the battery on here, you're looking at about 8 inches tall on both of these. As far as length goes, with the anvil, the 3/8, 4.5 inches. So right at 4.5 inches. With the 1/4 inch anvil, going to be a little bit shorter at 4.385 inches. So obviously that's going to change depending on what socket you got on there. But to compare the two, that's where we're at. And then as far as width goes, across the back of the tool, you're looking at, well, that's millimeters. So let's change that. So you're looking at less than 2 inches. So right at 2 inches across the back of the tool. So really small when it comes to an impact wrench, especially being able to dole out, 200 plus foot-pounds and 100 foot-pounds on this. We also get the typical M12 fuel drill and impact wrench type of handle here on the M12s, where it kind of bulges out here down near the bottom for the battery, but cylinders up right here below the head, which makes it very comfortable to hold these tools, especially with the rubber overmolding. And then if you want to wear a belt clip to retain this on your side, you can definitely do so, and they can screw onto either side of the impact wrench of the subcompact impact. Now, as far as weight goes on these, they're probably near identical, but we'll definitely check it out to see. And with the 2.5 battery, 2 pounds, 0.4 ounces. So less than 2 pounds with tool only. And let's take a look at the 1/4 inch drive. Yeah, 1 pound. I'm sorry. So 1 pound, 14.2 ounces. So it's actually a couple of ounces less. So less than 2 pounds with the 2.5 battery, and just over a half an ounce with the 3/8 drive. So we'll call that a 2 pound tool, and then about 2 ounces lighter on the 1/4 inch drive. I think I said maybe a half an ounce if I said anything at all. But anyway, still both of these I would call, 2 pound tools and less than 2 pounds with a battery on them. That's pretty crazy. And just to give you an idea, let's take a look at the this is the 3/8 drive of the M12 stubby. This is generation 2. You know what? Let me pull the battery off. So 2 pounds, 2.5 ounces without the battery. You stick a 2.5 ounce battery or 2.5 battery, so over 2.5 pounds. So we're saving a half a pound from 3/8 drive to 3/8 drive when you're comparing the stubby to the subcompact. And by the way, here's a look at the stubby compared to the subcompact. Again, I know it's got the XC battery on there, but here's one thing I will mention. If you're using the M12 stubby, I highly recommend an XC battery pack, because typically you're going to be doing probably bigger stuff than many of us should. So I highly recommend an XC battery pack. With these, totally cool to be running the smaller, CP 2.5 battery. It's just going to be smaller, more nimble, more compact to get in the spaces you need it. Not that either one wouldn't work fine in them. I'm just saying my preference would be the CPs on these and the XCs on the stubby. And generation of 1 of that's going to be pretty identical to the generation 2, but still quite a bit larger than the new subcompacts. And then to give you a better idea of just compared to, say, a high torque, there's Milwaukee's high torque impact wrench, and there's the subcompact. Just a huge difference in size here. You definitely can argue that we're saving space and weight. Again, that's with the forged battery, 8.5 pounds for that. So it's a quarter of the weight and probably a quarter of the size as well. Well, of course, we're going to test these and see if they do what they claim they do. So we're going to take our torque wrench here. We're going to go old school on this and actually use a torque wrench. So let's start at 25 foot-pounds. That's 30. We'll take that. We'll go up to 50. Yeah, 51.5, we'll take that. $76.9. And 101.8. And since the quarter-inch drive only goes up to 100 foot-pounds, let's test that one first. And we've got this nice cobbled together 33 millimeter socket with a 3/8 drive welded to it and a quarter-inch drive anvil. I don't want to hear it from all of you about percentage loss and everything else. We're not trying to take this thing, to the nth degree with a quarter-inch drive. We will make sure we're in speed 3 or power mode 3 and in reverse. And let's go to 25 foot-pounds. No problem there. 50 foot-pounds. A little bit of a struggle there. Now we'll go to 75 foot-pounds. Okay, got that one. A little more of a struggle. And 100 foot-pounds. Okay, I was praying that we didn't break the anvil before I got done with that. So we hit the mark as far as what Milwaukee's claiming on this little subcompact tiny thing that I can wrap my hand completely entirely around to hit 100 foot-pounds. Now let's take the same tool basically, except tuned up, the wick turned up on a 3/8 drive and see what we get. Now in this one, we're going to start at 50 foot-pounds. So there's 56.8, and then let's go up to 100. So 100 foot-pounds. So 105.4. And now we're going to go to our larger torque wrench and go to 150. And then on up to 200. So now we've got the 3/8 drive, or the 3049, and we've got it in speed 3. We have it in reverse, and let's see. We're starting at 50, then 100, then 150, then 200, and then we'll go up from there. So 50 foot-pounds, not a problem. 100 foot-pounds. Not a problem. 150. A little more effort there. 200 foot-pounds. Still well within the 10-second mark. So we got 200 foot-pounds 225 may be tough, but let's check it out and see. Okay, we got our torque wrench set to 225. And then let's max it out to 250. So back to the first one, we're going to go at 225 foot-pounds. Really not sure if it'll make it or not. Watch those hash marks on that socket, see if we turn. Yeah, so I was watching. It was definitely turning within 10 seconds. That's why I let it keep going. If you haven't seen our testing procedures before, we let these things hammer for 10 seconds. If it's starting to rotate, we let it go ahead and finish. If not, then we stop it. So we got 225. That's exactly what Milwaukee's claiming. You saw at the 200 and the 225, it struggled pretty good. But again, we're eking out the max here. We're going to go ahead and try it 250. I don't have a lot of hope for it, but again, I'm not expecting it to do it. And I'm not, way over what this little subcompact impact wrench should be doing. So 250 foot-pounds. Nope, 10 seconds, was not turning, so I stopped it. Exactly what I expected there. So great job, Milwaukee, on kind of nailing what the claim is on these and kind of eking out the max of what we're claiming here. These little guys are just really impressive, especially for their size. Okay, one more test. The 3/8 drive with the 5.0 battery pack on 250 foot-pounds. And I'm kind of impressed that it didn't do it because I really expected maybe to be able to squeeze out a little more power. Did not do so. It means that we're really squeezing out all the power we can, even with the CP 2.5 battery. Could be because this thing's already hot. I doubt it. But again, I think we're pushing the power limits on these little subcompacts anyway. Oh, and by the way, if you're not aware of what bolt removal mode is and auto shut off, let me actually get into that mode. Okay, now we're in it. Let me back this off here. So these two bolts are loose. I'm going to hit the tighten button. Again, we're in bolt removal mode or auto shut off mode. I'm going to keep my finger on the trigger. So you see it bumped a couple of times. My finger's still on the trigger. It shut the tool off. We'll hit this one too. Again, once it impacts, it actually shuts the tool off. I doubt it even put 5-10 foot-pounds on that. Let's go to, first let me tighten those a little more. Okay, now I'm going to go back into auto shut off and bolt removal mode. But now what you'll see is once it breaks it free, it'll either slow it down or stop it. There it goes. It slowed it down. Once it breaks free, you see how slow it goes. So that's what the auto shut off and bolt removal mode will do in those modes. Very handy to have. Very impressive with such a small impact wrench to be able to pull the power out that they do. Now, do we think these things should be used for busting lug nuts off of cars, removing wheels? No, we don't. Will it do it on what's supposed to be torqued the right way without any corrosion? Yes, probably. But again, it's not the right tool for the job. And you can see how much more compact they are than the stubby. Now, if you look head to head, they don't get a lot smaller, but there is quite a bit of difference in between in the diameter as well as the length and height of these tools. And as we know, we just need more and more room in the engine bays of vehicles. We think this is where these things shine. Any interior work, underhood work, not necessarily suspension work, things like that. But when you're removing those small fasteners, this little 1/4-inch drive guy is going to be a lot of fun. Get some nice universal sockets, some universal impact sockets, and you'll really be able to wiggle into those tight areas where maybe even used to you had to get that ratchet out, or maybe even the M12 ratchet. Maybe you can get in there with your little impact wrench now and be able to back those out. Hey, check them out. They're $229 right now for a bare tool. Again, the 3048 is the 1/4-inch drive. The 3049 is the 3/8-inch drive. They should be available for pre-order right now. Should be hitting the shelves anytime now. Definitely in the first week here of September or in the First weeks of September, they should be hitting the store shelves. We have a link in the description if you're interested. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And by all means, if you hated our video, well, then give us a thumbs down. But let us know in the comments why. Have a great day and keep smiling.